before, based in Connecticut, over in the East Coast. And I think I got in touch with Ray, geez, I want to say around April, maybe slightly earlier than that. Through one of his associates, Mike DeGioia, who runs another trading firm over in New York, and Mike and I connected over some a day trading program, primarily on equities. Things didn't quite work out for me, mostly because my work schedule. Got a full-time job. I work as a financial software engineer. So the timing of that program didn't necessarily suit my lifestyle. And long story short, Ray was actually volunteering a seminar on Forex via Mike's program, and it was just a quick 45-minute seminar, just going over the fundamentals of Forex, and it was very attractive in terms of the flexibility of the times and just the relative low risk and low capital to start off with, unlike with a day trading firm. So got in touch with Ray back in April, sometime around May. We kicked off a I think it was a 2-week one-on-one program. We went through the M3 and M2, and I was really pleased with some of the results I started seeing. Started my live account about 8 weeks ago, and yeah, started slow with my M3 fundamentals and M2 here and there. But just as of end of last week, I was talking to Ray, and I was letting him know that I was a little over 67% in profits. So, coming from zero Forex background entirely, I was pretty pleased with the acceleration of the profits and just sticking by the rules. So that's basically my quick background there.
Nice, thank you, Abby. So the thing is, mainly, what were your expectations though before doing the program? I know that your background, you wanted to do about the day trading environment, with mainly stocks. But what were your expectations then from transitioning from trading stocks to currencies?
Yeah, primarily, from what I've been exposed to, is a lot to do with scalping and day trading, and that's something that I just it wasn't right for my profile. So what I was really expecting to get out of Forex is the flexibility in terms of the times of the day that I could get involved in, and also the relative low number of hours that I expected to put in, anywhere between 5 to 10 max a week. And also having the relatively narrow window of just focusing on a small number of instruments, such as the 6 or 7 major pairs, and not having to scour through these 2,000 plus stocks and having to screen over them. So the expectations was really trying to really do this part time. And I wasn't in this to spend any more, like I said, than 5 to 10 hours max. And after the first maybe 3 weeks, that number of hours even reduced further. So at this point, I'm trading maybe an hour a day.
Wow. So mainly you just analyze and trade in about an hour a day?
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So, you stated more than 67%. So, main question for me is, and maybe perhaps for the rest of the group, for those who don't know, actually, Abby is also Australian. He actually he's from New South Wales, right, Abby?
Brisbane.
Brisbane. Yeah, because about 80% of the majority of currently who's in that right now is from Australia. So,
right.
yeah. So the question is, how did you do it? What was the process in order for you to create a 67%? I know it's like, 7, 8 weeks that you've been doing it. So what process did you do? How did you do it?
Well, Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was a bit of a skeptic initially because you read a lot about these success stories, and you sort of think to yourself, like, really, does that quite work out? But I think the two key elements for me was that helped me see this really start slow. I wasn't looking for big dollar amounts. I started my account at the bare minimum, like $500. But I wasn't focusing on just getting the big the big wins in terms of volume, but it was really just keeping my batting average as high as I could, and Ray just encouraged me to keep doing that. He's like, once you get your P&L in terms of the percentage of wins, then it's just a matter of multiplying the volume when you get comfortable. So I just focused on making sure that not only my winning trades superseded my losers, but also that I cut my losses short as soon as I could. And after about the third or fourth week, I felt a little more comfortable with letting my profits run longer. So, for instance, if I saw a trade going my way, if I hit T1, 2, and 3, I didn't necessarily close all my positions at that point. If I felt comfortable to move my stop up, in some cases I would let my trade run for 6 to 7 days, even if it's gone past the target. So that was, I felt like that was, I took the chance, and maybe it was part of my personality to be a little less risk averse as well. And the other thing I try to do is also keep my leverage under 15 to 20. I really never try to max out my leverage, only because it gave me the ability to sort of not max myself out and just wait for a trade to finish. So I kept my positions open as well. I kept my leverage open so I could run multiple positions and not feel in a corner with maxing out the leverage. So I think that helped. I learned it the hard way. In the first couple of weeks, I really I went all in to a point where I was just at a point where I had all my positions jammed up and I couldn't do anything, just waiting for things to happen. So that was a good lesson. And keeping my, like I said, my leverage below 15 and 20 max, my account size was something that's worked in my favor.
All right, fantastic. So did you follow then, I know, did you follow the methodology's rules, and also do you have your own set of rules?
Methodologies, yes, almost 100% in terms of finding my entry points. M3s have been working most successfully for me. I want to say 85% of the time, most of my plays were being M3s. In terms of my personal rules, like I said, the only thing I started getting a little comfortable after a while was not necessarily closing all my positions if it's past T3, and if I do notice that all the indicators were, showing that it was continuing to go in my direction. I didn't try to overanalyze, I did try to keep the base in play 2 and 2 out, but if I noticed there was no reason for the trend to reverse for me, I just kept some of my positions open and let it go past T3 in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really been my only tweak in the process.
Nice.
But apart from that, it's just been sticking to the fundamentals as far almost 99% of the time.
Nice. Yeah, that's when you just mentioned like analysis paralysis, over-analyzing rather than just nothing to really analyze with M2 and M3. So they're very, very easy. So about 80, I'm just recapping 85% with the M3s, 15% with the M2s. So here I think this is where the big challenges are, where a lot of traders, especially people who just subscribe to the trade alerts. Talking about the trade alerts before I go through there, do you follow some of the trade alerts sometimes, or do you use them?
I do. But when I do the trade alerts, it's always sort of like, trust but verify. It's been my motto. If I don't understand a trade alert, I don't move on it.
Gotcha.
Particularly the M1s. Sometimes there's a lot of chatter about how exciting an M1 positions looking, and I was like, I don't know the M1, so, and I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to stay away from this one.
Gotcha.
But even when the M3 alerts come through, it's a great indicator to let me know something's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I quickly jump in and make sure I understand. And I sometimes tend to set my own targets based on my risk tolerance level and my general understanding. But yeah, trade alerts have been definitely great. There are often times where I don't get to jump on the platform for a day or two at a time, given my work commitments and family, et cetera. So it does come in handy in those cases.
Nice, perfect. Okay, now let's go back to about the M3 because about 85% of your trades M3s. I know that later on Lydia's also going to share her experience, and I said that Louise is the masters of M3 because that's how she actually made most of her money through the M3. So in terms of you using the M3, I know it's 2 entries easy. Do you wait in order for it to go 2 out, or you don't, or you're part of your exit strategy just to take profits here and there? I mean, if you see that there's no longer that the market no longer will give it to you, do you just take your profits? Do you also use part of your intuition, or so? What is part of your own set of rules when you're trading M3?
So the one thing I try and keep in mind with M3 is, yes, I do look for the for the 2 in. However, on the time frame less than a day, and this is just completely my physics behind it, if you will, is if I saw the third candle wasn't necessarily moving in my direction, if it was sort of countering the first 2 candles, I tend to stay away from it just to get that extra confirmation. I wait for the third to at least stop moving in the direction I want to. On a day time frame, I absolutely go with the 2 in. And as far as the 2 out, I do take my profits. Typically if it goes beyond my 32% fib retracement, I feel like that's a good target, and I take it. I more often than not wait for the 2 out, but then in some cases when there's a big dip in the 1 out, and if I just don't feel like it's going to retrace back high enough, I get out of the position. But again, that's few and far between. For the most part, I stick with the 2 in and 2 out, especially on a 1-day time frame.
Nice. So talking about time frames, which time frames do you favor the most? Is it an hourly or daily? Mm-hmm.
The daily to get extra. Do you really feel confident? I like the 4 hour as well. Although it just puts a little extra. I have the extra level of responsibility to keep checking it every 4 hours. It sometimes gets tough. 1 hour I tend to stay away from, especially because I don't get the time of day during business hours to check on it, and I don't like getting into a 1 hour time frame before I go to bed at night. So typically it's the 1 day and 4 hour.
Nice. Well, now talking about that, since you're actually busy, now and plus you living in the East Coast, and then you're having a family, how do you cope with trading, and what is your typical trading routine?
I got to say, you've got to have. Most people have talked about it. You got to have your family or for whoever it is to sort of support you in some capacity, because you often can't do all of this by yourself. In the sense that they have to be almost just as committed in wanting you to succeed and giving you that sort of reassurance that things will be okay and keep going, because at least when you're getting your bearings right, you need to be able to give somewhat of 100% to focus and understand the fundamentals of trading. So the first 2 or 3 weeks was a bit challenging for me to sort of juggle between work and family and then trading. My typical routine, as I'm over the East Coast, is, trade between the 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. If I get an hour anytime between those 4 hours, that's usually how I operate. Most of the Asian market's up, and, so it's Europe shortly after. So it's a lot of liquidity around that time. So I get to my desk. I do a quick 10-minute meditation to sort of clear my head. I do ensure that I'm emotionally ready to trade. If I'm having a bad day that either from work or just lost sleep the previous day, I tend to stay away from trading. It's just, as I've gotten into this, I sometimes felt less is more. So I don't trade for the sake of trading. I don't get out there looking to absolutely find the position. If kind of like I've done this before, so I can actually sense that. Try to find a positive balance due to a negative event during the day. I try and stay away from it.
Very nice. So that works very well. Awesome. I think because that's an important factor, knowing your emotions and measuring your emotions, right? Because I remembered when we had one coaching session, and you force trade, then out of nowhere, it wouldn't work. So at least now you do know that when you feel good, then you trade. You don't feel good, you don't trade. Nice. So does it mean then, are you a swing trader, or would you consider yourself, since you like the 4-hour and the daily, would you day trade as well as a day trader, or more of a swing trader based on your work circumstances?
Mostly swing trade. I do find the occasional window here and there at work when it's a quiet day and I fire up my platform and I'm looking at things. But those are so infrequent that I don't even consider myself a day trader in that perspective. So I mean, there are times where I've, like I said, I've kept positions open for a week, just because I didn't see a reason to close out quite yet. It was going in my direction.
So nice. So does it mean then that it is also in sync to the purpose of why you're trading?
Yeah, I'm getting there. There. Ideally, I'd want to be able to trade a little less than I am right now. But I compensate for certain days that I missed out. But I do want to get into a steady routine of, having it, check my positions just before 5 o'clock for the daily positions, and then later at night for maybe a half hour or so. But I feel like I'm certainly making positive strides in that direction. I've still got a lot to learn, but and I can see myself get there in about 6 months or so, where I'm right at a position where I'm doing this and start making the solid and translate the actual, positive percentages to positive AS or positive dollar amounts as well.
Sure.
So I could start supplementing my income.
When you went on holidays, because you were at least on holidays for a couple of weeks, what did you do then? Were you still trading, or you didn't trade at all for 2 weeks? Or did you still have positions?
For the first week, I was completely offline. I didn't trade. Although I did have one position open. I had one position open just before I went on holiday, and had the FXCM platform on my phone. And all I did was basically ensure that it wasn't going to out. As long as it wasn't going to out, I just let it run. And for a good 5 days, it was working. And that was actually one of my most successful trades. I walked away with 170 pips. Didn't really do much. Just let it open, and then it was sort of like a bonus for me anyway, because I was going on vacation. I just kept an eye to make sure that I wasn't going in the negative. That was it. And just the day before vacation, I felt like it had matured enough, and it had 5 consecutive days of green, and I cashed out. It actually continued to go up a little bit more, but I didn't force myself to jump in, and even though I had access, didn't really force myself because I didn't feel like I was in the right mindset to want to sit and focus on trading. So I just decided to take that week off. The next week I had a little bit more flexibility because I had some travel days, some stay-at-home days, where I spent some more dedicated time doing it. But just try to keep it separate from my vacation time as well.
Nice. So if there is one thing then that you can get advice and recommend to the students currently online or for the future who would gonna watch this somewhere sometime later on, what would that be?
I'd say just trust the methods. Try and get out of the demo accounts as quickly as possible. Really use the demo trading account for understanding the mechanics of the platform itself. And then, yeah, biggest advice would be, don't overtrade, and check the emotions before you get into trading. There's been a couple of occasions where like I mentioned earlier, I was looking for a trade that wasn't there, and just as expected, didn't go my way. So just make sure you're mentally ready, and I know you've said this often, Reynaldo. Trading is easy. It's just sometimes keeping your emotions in check is the harder part. So as long as the emotions are in the right place, the methodologies definitely work.
All right, beautiful. Thank you, Abby. Thank you very much for sharing. Now I'm going to do an open forum for the next 5 minutes before I move in with Lolita. Do you have any questions for Abby? Wow, seems like there's none. Going once, twice, no questions for Abby at all? Nothing? Feedback? Okay, none from Anne. Well done, Abby. Okay. John, Jason, Harry, Dean.
Hello?
Saram. Hi, Saram.
Yeah. So I had a question actually. So how many years did you take to actually master?
Oh, we should probably talk weeks. So like I said, it was about 8 weeks, coming up to about 8 weeks today, since I opened my live account. Prior to that, I spent a good, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks doing the demo account. I come with, almost zero finance background. My background was engineering. So my real foray into trading was, like I said, I worked with Mike, who is a different, he ran a different academy, focusing on stocks and day trading primarily. But in terms of Forex, this was really my first exposure. So give or take 2 months, 3 max. That's as long as I've been involved in it.
Okay.
Nice, nice. So the next question is just a matter of being consistent, taking that 2 months, become 4 months, then 8 months, then the next year you're trading 10 years or more, right? Very good, very nice. No, thank you very much once again.
Initially, thanks, Now, anything else, it does get occasionally tempting when you have those couple of good days, and you feel like you want to bulk up your positioning. I would try and stay away from that, especially when you're starting.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, a 2-month, 3-month window is a good litmus test to make sure you're consistent with the smaller trades before you start moving to bigger positions.
Exactly, and that is actually, to be honest with you, Abby and the rest of the group, that's actually the biggest problem in the trading industry is when a trader who gets excited and automatically they open up and they go straight into the big lines, then they think they will be able to make money automatically like that without proving to themselves about the consistency, without testing the actual methodology itself, and then bam. So in actual fact, it happened to one guy who subscribed, and I told him, I said, listen, if you don't know the methods, don't do it, but it's still on your own accord. And out of nowhere, I don't know how much he lost, so he doesn't know the methodology, and he just basically blindly just putting a trade like that very dangerous. So in terms of the process, I was telling students that the process is the most important part, showing consistency in the small amount, then being consistent, and then the medium amount, and then the big amount. Because once you get to the big amount, it's actually really easy, right? It's just a matter of the amount of zeros that you will be able to handle. That's it. All right, good. Very nice, Abby. Well done and well said once again. Thank you very much for sharing. Now I'm going to move to Lolita. Okay, Lolita is actually, she's very, how do I put it, like an outstanding student. I'll say that, right? When Lolita came, before she left her work, this is one of the things I always tell people, like, how bad do you want it? And Lolita was one of them that, she really wanted really bad. She used to work, I don't know, 12, 15 hours a day. But she still came to the class no matter how tired she was, does the homework. And then out of nowhere, I know that she's very consistent, sending me all her homeworks and stuff, but what I didn't realize is mainly the consistency of what she's doing things. As an elite trader, Lolita is an elite member. But there's a big difference between being an elite member and being an action taker member, and also being an observer. There's big difference the way how the education is being done, and also the way how the coaching is being done. So from that essence, I asked Lolita last week, and like, so how are your results going? Because once in a while I double check with the students, and then I need to find out on what the cause of the inconsistency is, and then I try to work with that as much as I can. But if there's something I won't be able to do, especially on the psychology side, then there are other educations that will be able to help the student out as well. But nevertheless, out of nowhere, then Lolita basically said, well, this is what I made. And I'm like, whoa. So like, the question is, how did you do it? So Lolita is going to explain to us. She's the master of method number 3. I call her the master of M3, and she's the one who actually basically stated, hey, method number 3, the 2 in, 2 out method, should really be the no-brainer method, not M1. So, and that being said, I like, yeah, that makes sense. So I changed the name from a 2 in, 2 out to a no-brainer method, because really it is a no-brainer method. All right, enough of me talking. I'm going to let Lolita speak. So Lolita, if you could just introduce yourself, where you live, and how you found me, that would be great.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lolita. I was with another coaching program before I met Reynaldo, and that coaching program was in Europe. And at the time I was working, and already my schedule started at 5 a.m., so trying to hook up with the people in Europe was almost, well, it was kind of impossible. But I knew I could do this, and so I went searching for a coach, and I had narrowed it down to 3 different firms in California, and interviewed with Forex Factory. I mean, not Forex Factory, but FXCM. They have a San Francisco office, and then interviewed with Reynaldo, and I chose Reynaldo, and because he was approachable, and he dealt a lot with not just the technical part of trading, but the psychology piece, and it just was a good fit for me. And so it'll be a year in September since I've been under Ray's coaching. We first started off with the psychology piece, and then by October he introduced M3 to us, the beginning of October, and it just clicked for me. M3 just clicked for me. And I guess I had the privilege or the benefit of M3 being so easy, because we didn't start off with M1, we didn't start off with M2, so I didn't have the noise of all the micro fundamentals, the technical analysis, it was just purely M3. And so so I was able to focus on it, and I didn't have, look for pivots, look for stochastics, look for all this stuff. It was just M3, and so it was easy. So that's basically how I was introduced to Reynaldo. I just looked him up and found him, and it was great. And me and Anthony, another guy that was in the program that I was in, he also joined with Reynaldo. The M3 is easy. It is no-brainer. It's no-brainer to execute. That's for sure. We all know that. But it can be a little bit high maintenance because I know that Reynaldo, you know, in his trade alerts, he puts stop losses and target points or, you know, but that's not really the method. I don't want to jump ahead.
No worries, no worries at all. Thank you, Luther. So, now let's talk about method 3. I want to ask first, like, since the inception of you learning M3, what will be the majority of your trades will be M3s, and what was the return that you made since basically you started that trading M3 live?
Within, I would say, I didn't even realize I had made a profit, duh. Even though I saw my account going up, it took the tax person to say, Lolita, you made a profit. So last year, because I was in so many programs and they were telling me, you know, you have to put in so many trades in order to be considered a trader, yada, yada, yada. And once I learned the M3, I did about, within that time frame, maybe 50-something trades.
Mm-hmm.
And out of those 50 trades, like maybe almost 40 of my trades were successful.
Wow. Dang. So out of 50 trades, 40 were successful. Out of 50, and this is just based on M3, right?
That's just purely M3.
Fantastic. And so from there, with an M3, you didn't check, in terms of percentage, how much percentage do you think you made out of that from your initial capital, and then when your accountant basically said, hey, you made a profit, how many percent do you think you made just using trading M3?
My account was a little shy of $1,000,
mm-hmm.
and my profit was close to like $900.
Awesome. So almost close to 100%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just M3.
M3.
And I started off really, really modest.
Yes.
You know, when I first started off, I would just say if I can get 30 points for each target, then I'm fine. 30 pips, mm-hmm. right? And so, or I would say if I can get 90 pips for one trade, then I'm fine. And that's what I did. So once it hit 30 points, or, you know, I would just probably take all my positions because I just wanted to get that discipline.
Nice.
And then once that was consistent, then I moved and said, okay, I want to make 100 pips
mm-hmm.
in a trade. And so then I built it up and, you know, got my confidence going, got the understanding, the characteristic of the M3, and then once I felt confident enough, then I would start, you know, I'll take one target, let the other two ride, take two targets, or maybe take two targets and let one of the positions ride. And so I just kept on building and building and building my confidence, and then learning more about the characteristics of M3, what worked, what didn't work, and it just went from there.
Nice. All right, so let's talk about what worked and what didn't work. And by the way, I want to share with everyone as well. We have a competition that we created within the lead group here in the Bay Area. That when we started, actually, you know, within the group, listen, we're going to start with $50 based on a micro account, and then by the end of December, with the person who will reach 500, we don't know whether we will be able to meet that. But with whoever will meet at the highest return will get basically a present, right, from me. But with that present, it'll be a surprise. But nevertheless, that $50 account that you created, so from the last time we checked, it was about 149, is that correct? Or was it now more?
148.
148, so almost 150%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to create that, and that's only you use also, the majority was an M3 methodology?
All I do is M3, specifically on that account.
Specifically on
because
that
it's
account.
so small,
Mm-hmm.
so, with $50 when you first start, you can only bid or ask one position anyway. Now I'm in a position where I can do 2 positions.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's strictly M3. I learned the hard way trying to do an M1 on it. It just didn't work very well.
Okay, so in terms of then, let's talk about the M3. We said about you found what worked for you and what didn't work. So let's talk first about what didn't work with M3. So what, if you're going to share with the rest of the students, so what didn't work for you that maybe perhaps they will learn something from it, and maybe perhaps, hey, I would learn something from it too. You never know, right? So what didn't work for you in terms of M3, or what you found based on M3?
Just understanding the characteristics. You have to understand that it's really a retailer's trade because you're not going to get the premium cost.
Correct.
Also, how can I put it? Let's see. You have to be cognizant of the M3 more so than the other trades. You can put stop losses and target points if you want, but I don't. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be mindful to go and check to see what your trade is doing, especially if you're going to do something lower than a day, mm-hmm. On a daily chart. I normally only trade the 4-hour and the daily. Those work good for me. Mm-hmm. And you have to be disciplined to take your profits. Mm-hmm. Don't just let your profits, just ride. Take profits along the way.
Beautiful.
I've done that before, and also knowing the characteristics of the different pairs. Some move a lot faster, and you can be up like 200 points, mm-hmm. and everything's going well, and then you look back, and then they've taken 200 pips from you, So that is, it's a little bit more high maintenance than the other trades because, if you have the target points in there, then it'll just take take your target and put the money in your bank. But with this method, it doesn't have it. So pay attention. I mean, it will really kind of work with your psyche because, mm-hmm. like, if everything is lining up and then the trade ends up going south, if you're going long and then the trade ends up going south, it's like, I know it should be bullish, and then, the red bar just keeps going down and down below the moving averages. Get out. I mean, yeah.
So you do cut your losses short too then, right?
Yes, definitely.
You don't even wait sometimes with a 2 out as an exit strategy?
I believe that is, I understand that it's part of the rules, and I'm not breaking the rules. I'm just saying that I've had enough. The 2 out is just an indication. By no means do you need to let the, be 100 pips in the hole before you get out. Nice. And so you just have to follow your own intuition. You definitely need to follow your own intuition regarding the M3.
Nice. So intuition is also a factor.
Because when you think about it, the confirmation, if you're going long, is 2 in. And that's the same thing for getting out. The 2 below is just the confirmation to get out.
Correct.
But you don't have to wait until the confirmation. You can get out anytime you want to.
Correct. Nice. Very nice. So what are the things that didn't work for you then, like in terms for method 3?
Being stubborn. Like I said, believing that the trade was going going to go in the direction that I wanted it to go,
Mm-hmm.
and then always waiting for the two below or the two above to get out, not
Mm-hmm.
realizing that I didn't have to wait for those confirmations. I could just get out.
Mm-hmm.
Trading 4-hour charts and then forgetting about it.
Mm.
That has stung me a few times.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Especially 4 hours, you need to always be aware every 4 hours.
Right. And then also, if the overall trend is on an uptrend and then you're counter trading,
Mm-hmm.
like you're trading, the overall trend is bullish, but there is some retracement, you have to really be mindful of that, and if it's worth really the risk to go in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful when you're bullish and the overall trend is bullish.
Correct.
And so, and then too, sometimes the markets, whatever, they do what they want. All the stars can line out, and it still goes the opposite way.
Correct. Ah, fantastic. Very nice. So would you then consider yourself as a swing trader or a day trader then, using an M3?
My personality is definitely goes with the swing trader, but for me, this M3 trade, if you're a day trader, it is a day trader's dream.
Yes. Correct. It's based on because of the 4 hourly chart, right?
Yeah, because of the 4-hour chart, and also because the M3 is like the finale of the overall trend. I mean, it can be. It usually is. It's when, the overall trend kind of gives its bow, and once it's exhausted, it'll either reverse or, start a new trend. Once the M3, I've learned, once it exhausts itself, it's a really good indication to look to see if the trend is going to, if there's a new trend that's going to form, or if it's a retracement. Yeah, I just believe, it's a reason why I believe Reynaldo named M1, M2, M3. M3 is the last little part of the overall trend. And it's saying, hey, it's over.
Yes.
Once it's over, then look for it to either go short or long, whatever direction, that opposite direction. So it's a great indicator too, I believe.
Yes. I mean, I love M3 as well because great entries. And then pretty much from there on forwards is, it's you, either you take your profits or you don't. Very nice. So do you use any of the trade alerts as well then, Lalitha? Like, do you take some of the trade alerts?
I use the trade alerts if I'm okay with them. Not all of them, but yeah. And I mostly use the trade alerts for the other two methods.
Nice. Okay, gotcha. Perfect. Okay, now talking about that, what is your trading routine? Yeah, especially actually I would like if you could share with the rest of the group as well, when you used to work like crazy hours, right? Like 11 hours, 12 hours in a day. So what was your normal daily trading routine before, and then what is now your normal daily trading routine right now?
When I was working, I'm an early bird, so I still wake up early, even though I don't have to go into anyone's office. I would, look at the news. Well, I would be up like maybe 4 o'clock when I was working because I needed to be in the office by 6, sometimes earlier than that if I was traveling. So I definitely would be looking at the news. While I was working, we really weren't that much into the micro fundamental of things. So I won't say or the technical analysis. I won't say I was doing trend lines, all of that, but I would check out the markets and look at the news and then take notes. For me, writing it down works for me. It kind of sticks with me. So once I go into Forex Factory, I note what currencies have high impact news and mid impact news. If there's someone like Bernanke speaking, I would definitely write his name down just so that I can know, because, you know, his speaks, or whatever they want to call him, normally interrupts the market, or it can, and, you know, either good or bad. Then make note of, you know, Asia markets, the Euro and US, and then go from there, the dollar index, and kind of make a mental note. So I write those down all in my journal. Then after that, I would just, you know, scout or look through the currency pairs and FXCM, both the daily and the 4-hour. And then kind of go through there and see if there was anything that I wanted to get into, or, you know, take a note and say, you know, look, you know, in 4 hours you need to look back at this trade or look back at this pair to see if there's an entry, and go from there. I guess I had a lot of flexibility in my job because well, we had a manager, but we really didn't have a manager. So I was in a fortunate position where I could look at things while I was at work, even though I didn't do that much, because they weren't paying me to do trading. They were paying me to manage their facilities. So, but I did have the flexibility to do so. So that was normal. That was my routine while I was working. Today, now that I don't have the responsibility of going into the office, I am up by 6. Sometimes I'll wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to see if there are any 4-hour trades that I can get into. By 6 o'clock, I'm definitely up. And again, I look at the news, I look at the markets, I take my notes, and then I go from there. If there's trades, then I'll get in. If there's not, then, hey, I'll see you at 10 o'clock.
Nice, very nice. So if there is one thing that you would be able to recommend or give advice to the rest of the group, in terms of the way how you did pretty much within the methodologies and in terms of your success, what would that be as well? So if you're going to give an advice or recommendation in order for everybody in the room would be able to do the same what you've done, what would that be?
Always keep in mind why you're trading. And the bottom line is, at the end of the day, we're here to make money. And so whether it's 30 pips or 100 pips in your pocket, it's 30 pips, 100 pips in your pocket. And so don't always look for the, you know, I got to make 1,000 pips. A pip is a pip. If it's on the green side, you know, I used to tell my parents, well, give me a penny when I was a little girl. And they say, if I get 99 more pennies, I'll have $1.
Exactly.
You know, so take your profits. Don't, you know, follow your intuition, your gut feeling. Don't always look for one bar to give you, you know, 100 pips.
Mm-hmm.
Take it along the way. And that's how I built my account. It wasn't about, it was about learning the method, definitely. That's an absolute. But it was also, can I make money at this?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be disciplined. Don't get greedy. And by all means, take your profits. Take your profits, take your profits, take your profits.
Nice.
And if you find, if you get uneasy about anything, just close all your positions and take your profits. Because if you don't take your profits, they're going to take them away from you.
Very nice. Beautiful. Sorry, Lou, I want to take some notes here, you see. Okay. All right, so awesome. Is there anything else you want to share, Luther, before we do a Q&A and for the rest of the guys to ask you any questions?
No.
No.
If you don't have any more questions, that's it for me.
Nice. So do you, any of the guys, do you have any questions for Lolitha?
Oh, well done, Lolitha, and I'm glad that you mastered M3. So my question is, what's your next challenge?
My next challenge is to master M1. I think I have a pretty good handle on M2, but I've confessed to Ray, either I'm away from my computer or I just can never find one when I'm, at my desk looking for trades. And then, lo and behold, you look at your at the chart and it's like, there's an M2. But yeah, so. But it's definitely to master M1.
Nice. Perfect.
Great.
Awesome. Anything else? Anyone else who would like to ask a question?
Well, this is Avi. Hey. How long do you feel the need to be comfortable with M3 before you move down to M1?
I guess you have to kind of answer that for yourself. Once, I believe, Abby, it appears that you're, pretty comfortable with M3, so I would say go for it. Because M1 has a lot of different variables to it, and so it's going to take a while anyway. So my thing is that, and like I've shared before, in our trader dojos, now that I have, I still have things to learn for M3. But now that I have that and I know that I'm able to make money with the M3, I can focus my attention on another method. So while I'm making money with this method, I can focus my attention on learning another method.
Okay.
Nice. That's also actually a really good point, a good question, and the whole purpose of me actually, at the very beginning, I know Jason could vouch for that and the rest of the group could vouch for that, I used to teach M1 first because I believed during the time that the basic foundation of M1 should be taught first. But when, I think Dean is still in here, when Dean visited the United States and did basically learn the M1, not just with him, but with Angie, Dean's wife, that's what I knew, that's where I saw the big deficit in terms of the variables, the complexity, even though it's very easy. And that's when I basically said, holy moly. So I took Harry's advice, Anne's advice, and also Phil basically said, hey, you guys should, you should be teaching M2 and M3 first before M1. And at the very beginning I said, but why though? And then I finally realized that M1, even though it's so easy, it can be very complex. So there's a whole process before I taught the rest. I need to see them first being consistent with M2 and M3, similar to what I've done with you, Abby. And then when I saw that it's now easy for them, and then after pretty much around 3 months, around that area, for the 4th month, they're introducing mainly, the art and science technical analysis, which is the the overview whole point of M1, and then I strip that apart, go through each individual, and we try to put it all together. But putting all together takes time in order to do that. So to do the whole year, actually, 12 months on average will take a person to master 2 and 3, and then to get into transitioning to M1, and then from there on forward, it's really up to the student on how fast they can grasp it. Some students were, for example, like say with John, he wanted to go to M1 straight away, but I did M2 and M3. He can grasp M2 and M3 no problem, but straight to M1. So yeah, it all, like from what the base is saying, it all depends on the individual. But definitely the way how I teach is from the psychology, M2, M3, and then M1 will be last. Because once they, if you can show consistency M2 and 3, then to do M1 will be, yeah, it's easy, but be very complex. Oh man, that's awesome! I think I found it a good class. Thank you guys for sharing. Okay, I'm gonna go through one per each person. I just want you to state at least 2 or 3 what you learned today. What are the two or three things that you learned today? Okay, Abby, I'll start from you. What did you learn from Letha?
Well, I think one thing I definitely think I learned, and I think I'm going to incorporate, is the taking profits as a guy. I think I do feel like I'm a little guilty of waiting for that perfect golden target to be hit before I can move on. But then I've always, oftentimes I've found myself looking back and be like, they just reversed to me just before I waited for my target. I should have taken it a little earlier. So I think I'm going to try and incorporate that. That's probably the biggest takeaway for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Abby. Anne?
Yeah, thanks guys for sharing, and what I learned today is that you can make money with M3 and also taking profits.
Awesome. All right, Sam just left. Dane, if you're there. And even they say it's offline. Okay, maybe he's offline. Harry? If you are there. Nothing? Jason?
Yeah, just take profits.
Take profits, and okay, cool. John?
Yeah, not to sound like a parrot, but taking profits is definitely something you need to learn, and then knowing when to get out. In lieu of the rules of the trade, I agree with Letha. You have to use that intuition and know when to get out of a bad trade. Beautiful.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for Abby and Lilitha for sharing once again. And then the next person I'm going to interview definitely is also Jason and actually John to share their experience as well, because they're already up there too, in terms of consistency. All right. If there's nothing else, any questions, queries before we wrap it up? Well, there's nothing, then we'll see you guys in the next class if you can make it.
No.
See you guys.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.